Every once in a while, this image goes around the internet, asking the premise of who would win between Goku, Luffy, Gojo, and Naruto if they lost one of their primary powers. Gojo doesn't have Infinity, Naruto doesn't have Kurama, Luffy doesn't have his Devil Fruit, and most importantly for this video, Goku isn't a Saiyan. While this idea has been covered in a couple what-if videos, I thought I'd go in depth with how strong Goku would actually be if he didn't have the benefit of being a Saiyan anymore. So in this video, I'll firstly cover how strong this Earthling Goku would be, and then at the end we'll compare him to the aforementioned nerfed versions of the other anime characters. If you do like this kind of stuff, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Only about 11% of you are, so it really helps out. With that out of the way, let's jump right in. When discussing human Goku, there are two pretty drastically different ways to look at it. In the first way, it's like you just summoned Shenron and using a wish asked for Goku to be turned into a human right then and there, essentially making it so he loses most of his forms and any of the other current benefits he would get from the fact that he is a Saiyan, but he would keep all of the training and experiences he's had up to that point. In the second scenario, Goku starts the story of Dragon Ball from the very beginning as a human being, and the story is informed by the fact that he was never a Saiyan in the first place. As the first scenario is much easier to analyze, let's talk about that one first. If he was suddenly turned into a human, Goku's most significant loss would obviously be his Saiyan forms, but also his God Ki. This in essence would likely make Goku literally billions of times weaker than he normally is, if not far more. Why? Well, let's go through the bare minimum multiplier for Super Saiyan Blue, shall we? Even by the first act of Dragon Ball Super, Goku had surpassed the power of Vegito using Super Saiyan God, which from a pure numbers standpoint is insane when you get into it. Even assuming that Goku and Vegeta had only become as strong as Super Saiyan Namek Goku in their base forms, though they're likely way stronger, this would make base Vegito 150 million times stronger than base Goku at the time. I only stop here because we lose any real quantification. Realistically, their base forms are arguably stronger than the likes of Perfect Cell, especially in the anime, but potentially in the manga as well. Then stack another 400 times multiplier for Super Saiyan 3, and this means that just God Goku is at least 60 billion times stronger than Goku's base form. Then add another lowballed 50 times increase for Super Saiyan Blue, and another 20 for Kaioken Blue, and Goku's multipliers begin reaching into the billions already while being as lowballing as humanly possible. It's unfortunate that Goku loses access to these Saiyan forms and this God Ki, but this doesn't actually matter or affect how strong Goku would be if he turned into his human, at least his peak power. Why? Well, because Goku still has access to his most powerful form. After all, Ultra Instinct isn't a Saiyan exclusive transformation. We know that even humans far weaker than Goku can begin to grasp the concepts behind Ultra Instinct, and nothing about being a Saiyan is what determines who gets the form, as obviously non-Saiyans like Beerus and the Angels can use it even to a light degree. While yes, these characters all have God Ki, from what I've seen, this isn't a prerequisite for achieving it, so potentially a human Goku could actually re-unlock God Ki again, as he would still understand how to use the form once losing his Saiyan abilities. So, even though he loses everything from Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan Blue, he still has what is his current best transformation, which increases his power by, again, a bare minimum of tens of billions of times his base form. Furthermore, even though Goku no longer has God Ki in his base form, since the battle with Beerus, Goku's base form had already surpassed his God form multiple times, meaning even as a human, he would still have access to this level of power. Just for a single example of this, during the Tournament of Power, Goku takes a punch from Jiren that he considers to be the strongest one he'd ever received in his entire life. And this is after he's already fought Jiren using Ultra Instinct Sign and Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, meaning his base got so much stronger it's at least comparable to those forms. Thus, removing the God Ki from Goku's kit is ultimately a drop in the bucket compared to his overall base strength growth. Besides that, being human does mean Goku would likely have to struggle a lot more to keep this kind of strength increases, as Saiyans do grow proportionally to opponents when getting Zenkais and other just passive power growth. While humans can passively get stronger fighting strong people, it's not nearly to the same degree. There's also the kind of hypothetical scenario of Goku losing his exactly Goku personality and the Saiyan traits he gets from that, but that wouldn't affect his outward strength in a fight, just how he approaches fighting people. Also, Goku wouldn't lose any of the knowledge he's gained either. He would still have all of his techniques, as again, being a Saiyan doesn't allow him to use these techniques over a non-Saiyan using them. In fact, most of them are stolen from human characters. But if you want to be mean and say that for every reason he doesn't have UI, while it's millions of times worse, he still would have Kaioken times 20 with no issue, which is at least something. So how strong is this version of human Goku? Pretty much exactly the same. He'd be a bit weaker and not have access to the exact same number of forms, but due to the sheer amount of power increases Goku's base form has gotten, and his strongest form being essentially equal opportunity, it wouldn't be all that much notable. Just think how strong Krillin is in Super. He's a human and hasn't done nearly the amount of training that Goku has. But with that being said, if he stayed human, characters like Broly, Gohan, and Vegeta with their Saiyan potentials would begin to leave Goku, unfortunately, in the dust. Now, let's look at scenario 2. And for this, I actually do have to be a little bit brief. The second scenario would change so much that it's almost impossible to 100% figure out what would happen. For example, if Goku wasn't a Saiyan, Grandpa Gohan would still be alive and would have trained Goku for longer. This would instantly fundamentally change Dragon Ball from even before Chapter 1 begins. Furthermore, the Saiyans would never have come to Earth and Frieza would never be defeated. Heck, there's a chance that even androids wouldn't have been created. Likely, this Goku would still end up around maybe his late Dragon Ball or Saiyan Saga levels of power, but beyond that, it's really impossible to say. So, unfortunately, I can't really delve any deeper into this one without just writing some fanfiction. So now, let's return to the image that started this video. Goku versus the other nerfed anime characters. I'll be using Goku in his first interpretation and do both unequal and equal stats to give both sides an equal chance against each other. With that being said, how would human Goku do against Kurama-less Naruto, No Infinity Gojo, and Fruitless Luffy? Going from weakest to strongest, let's talk about No Infinity Gojo versus Goku. While Gojo has never fully lost access to Infinity, we've seen what it is like for Gojo to lose it for a brief period of time, either when he's in another character's domain or fighting against someone with some way to cancel the ability out. Usually Infinity slows things down so they never touch Gojo, but without it he needs to rely on his other abilities. Usually there's a whole debate over if Goku can get past Infinity, but we don't need to cover that here because Gojo doesn't have it. Unfortunately for Gojo though, Goku is just blitzing and one-shotting him. Gojo at best has vague FTL and maybe planetary at best scaling using Yuki's black hole. I don't think I need to explain why maybe being planetary isn't enough to be even human Goku. Equal stats is slightly more interesting, with Gojo being able to maybe get off his domain, but Goku is still just infinitely more skilled than him and has numerous ways to escape Infinity while also having so many more attacks to defeat Gojo. What is he doing against a teleporting Kamehameha? Luffy with no Devil Fruit is really weird, as unlike the other two, aside from situations where he's touching Sea Stone or in water, Luffy always has his Devil Fruit active, even to a slight degree. Even the feats done by base Luffy against, say, Kizaru or Kaido are still base Luffy with the Gomu Gomu no Mi. Still, he'd be tens of times weaker by losing access to all of his gear forms, especially Gear 5, whose multipliers I've talked about here, but should be around 50 times at the minimum. Just like Gojo, giving Luffy the benefit of the doubt and just taking the higher end scaling of planetary or star level for One Piece and beyond doesn't really help, as Goku just overpowers casually, especially when Luffy's base downscales from wherever Gear 5 is. Equal stats doesn't do Luffy any favors, as removing the Devil Fruit takes away pretty much every hacks ability Luffy has besides Haki, which is honestly just a less versatile version than even basic key abilities, so again, Goku would probably slam. Naruto with no Kurama Kurama is the most interesting to me just because this actually fully happened for an extended period of time in the Boruto manga, though Naruto really only had one fight in the form. Still, this version of Naruto still has access to his major abilities like Sage Mode, Rasengan, and his various clone jutsu. In fact, while losing Kurama Mode is definitely really bad, his scaling tier doesn't actually change, as even base Naruto was comparable to Momoshiki, who should scale above Kaguya and her star to solar system level scaling. But again, this is a drop in the bucket to human Goku's universal or beyond power. Naruto definitely has the best shot equal stats, but again, Ultra Instinct and what it offers would be really hard for Naruto to overcome in equal stats, which is something I've talked about before. So overall, human Goku as a hypothetical either has a very small impact on his power, or it completely overhauls the entirety of Dragon Ball's story and its power scaling. But either way, it still means that very few characters are beating Goku, even as a human. I think for a hypothetical like this, it's very hard to make it a fair matchup against other characters. For example, if you took away Goku's ki, it might make him the weakest person there, but that can be a video for a different time. Either way, if you disagree with my takes, let me know how I was wrong in the comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!